Have you ever wondered why people cheat? No, not on taxes. I'm talking about something far more personal. People are constantly cheating on their partners. And the strangest part, it's not just the bad guys, it's the people who swear they never will. The ones in happy, loving relationships. So, why does it happen? Why do people risk everything for a moment of weakness? In this video, we're going deep. We'll explore the hidden motives, the quiet desires, the reasons people cheat, even when they believe they never would. And if you've ever cheated, chances are your reason is probably the first one we'll cover. Let's begin. Sometimes, cheating doesn't come from a plan, it comes from a moment, an unexpected opportunity, a work trip, a late night party, a few too many drinks, a conversation that lingers too long. In moments like these, self-control fades. Boundaries blur. What's right and what's wrong can suddenly feel negotiable. People often find themselves acting impulsively, doing something they'd never imagine until it happens. The key here is simple: an opportunity arises, and someone gives in. This kind of cheating reveals more than just temptation. It shows a struggle with impulse control, a difficulty in thinking beyond the instant pleasure of the moment. And sometimes, it's about responsibility, or rather, the lack of it. Some people don't have a strong internal compass guiding them. Their choices are shaped by their surroundings, by the people around them, by the situation itself. And when caught, they might say, "I didn't plan it. It just happened." But behind those words often lies a deeper truth, a tendency to avoid personal accountability. Even if it's just once, cheating can become easier to justify if the person blames the moment instead of their choices. But here's the hard truth: cheating isn't always a one-time mistake. That moment of weakness, it might actually reveal something deeper, a lack of self-control, emotional immaturity. And when those issues aren't addressed, trust doesn't just break once. It shatters again and again. Because opportunity and temptation, they're not isolated moments. They're signs of a pattern. And if someone gives in once, they're far more likely to do it again. It's a cycle, a painful one. Betrayal, regret, and then another betrayal. Reason number 2. One of the most common reasons people cheat: discontent. It could be emotional. It could be physical. Often, it's both. When someone feels neglected, when they feel unappreciated, they start looking for something they're missing. Validation, affection, attention. Imagine this: a person feeling emotionally abandoned. Their partner doesn't listen, doesn't notice. So they find someone who does. Someone who makes them feel heard. Someone who makes them feel seen. And what about physical needs? The absence of connection, of intimacy, drives some to chase that thrill elsewhere. But here's the twist: that attention from outside, it's just a bandage, a temporary fix to cover a deeper wound. Because cheating out of discontent, it doesn't solve the problem, it avoids it. Rather than saying, "I feel lonely, I feel unappreciated," they stay silent. They avoid the difficult conversations. They look for answers in someone else. Why? Insecurity, fear of conflict, or simply not knowing how to ask for what they need. This isn't about being a bad person. It's about emotional immaturity. They didn't learn how to speak their truth. So, instead, they search for it outside their relationship. And what does that lead to? Guilt, shame, and even deeper cracks in the relationship they already have. A problem that could have been solved with honesty has now turned into betrayal. Reason number 3, coming next. Because for some people, cheating has nothing to do with sadness. For some, it's not sadness. It's not loneliness. It's the thrill. Cheating, for them, is about chasing excitement, breaking the rules, living on the edge. There's a rush in doing what's forbidden. And that forbidden feeling, it can be addictive, especially for people stuck in their routines, people who feel bored, trapped, or restless. When life starts to feel too predictable, they crave something new. In long-term relationships, that spark, it can fade. The early butterflies replaced by everyday normal. Instead of talking to their partner, instead of finding new ways to reignite the spark, they start looking elsewhere. But here's the twist. It's not always about the person they're cheating with. It's about the act itself, the secrecy, the risk, the possibility of being caught. It all creates a dangerous kind of excitement. It's a way to feel alive, even if just for a moment. People who cheat for the thrill, they're often running from boredom, from stagnation. They struggle to feel satisfied in safe, stable situations. So they take risks, not because they need to, but because the risk itself feels like an escape. Rather than facing their own restlessness, rather than seeking healthy ways to create excitement, they search for distractions. But here's the truth: the excitement never lasts. Once the novelty fades, once the rush disappears, they're left with the same emptiness they tried to escape. And sometimes they're left with even more guilt, complications, and a deeper sense of dissatisfaction. Because chasing thrills through infidelity, it's not a solution. It's a cycle. Reason number 4, entitlement. And this one, it's harder to admit. For some people, cheating isn't about pain or excitement. It's about believing they deserve more. Entitlement. For some people, cheating isn't about missing something. It's about believing they're owed something. This mindset, it's dangerous. They tell themselves that their desires, their needs, their cravings are reason enough. In their minds, cheating isn't wrong. It's a natural extension of what they want, something they believe they have the right to pursue, no matter the consequences. This sense of entitlement often comes with something else, a total disregard for the hurt they might cause. They start to view relationships as transactional. What matters most? Their own satisfaction, their own happiness, their partner's feelings, secondary, maybe even irrelevant. Cheating driven by entitlement often reveals something deeper, a lack of empathy, sometimes even narcissistic traits. These individuals prioritize themselves, always. They need attention, they avoid accountability, and they often carry an inflated sense of self-worth. So when they cheat, they don't blame themselves. They blame their partner. In their eyes, the infidelity isn't a betrayal, it's justified. Because their partner wasn't enough, didn't give enough, didn't satisfy them in the way they deserved. This belief lets them avoid guilt. It lets them see themselves as the victim and their partner as the problem. In the end, this isn't about connection. It's about control, about feeding their ego. And often, they don't even realize the damage they've done until it's far too late. But there's something even deeper. When cheating is driven by entitlement, it reveals something critical, a profound lack of emotional intelligence and empathy. These individuals, they don't, or won't, see the damage they're causing, because their focus isn't on connection, it's on consumption. What can they get, not what can they give? And when relationships are treated this way, the result is predictable: repeated betrayals, eroded trust, fractured connections. Over time, their own behavior isolates them. They destroy the very relationships they depend on for validation and support. Reason number 5. For others, cheating isn't about thrill or pleasure or even entitlement. It's about space. Cheating, in these cases, is a way to create distance, not closeness. Sometimes it's subconscious. Other times it's deliberate. But either way, the goal is the same: to damage the relationship, to push their partner away. Why? Because deep down, they're afraid. Afraid of commitment, afraid of vulnerability, afraid of real intimacy. By stepping outside the relationship, they build a wall, an emotional barrier, something that keeps them from getting too close, too attached, too invested. In their minds, cheating becomes protection, a way to control their fear by sabotaging what scares them most: real connection. Cheating driven by emotional detachment reveals something many people never see: unresolved fears. Fears of vulnerability, fears of abandonment. These individuals push others away, not because they don't care, but because they're protecting themselves. In their minds, creating distance first means they'll avoid the pain of rejection later. Cheating becomes their shield. For a moment, stepping outside the relationship gives relief. It feels like control, a break from the pressures of emotional closeness. But the problem, the fear doesn't fade, it grows. Instead of healing, they deepen their internal conflict. They weaken the trust holding their relationship together. And soon, they're stuck, trapped in a cycle of pushing others away, fearing loneliness, but creating it themselves. Sometimes cheating isn't even about desire. It's a passive way to end things. They stop feeling emotionally safe, but instead of expressing it, they escape. Adultery becomes their exit strategy, a way to force the distance they're too afraid to ask for, to avoid vulnerability entirely by never fully committing. The result? A painful self-fulfilling prophecy. By pushing their partner away, they prove to themselves that closeness leads to pain. Cheating, in the end, isn't just about betrayal. It's about belief. It reflects not only personal struggles, but also the pressures of societal expectations. But here's the simple truth: cheating is a choice, and that choice says more about the person making it than the one being betrayed. Understanding why people cheat doesn't excuse it, but it does give us insight. Insight into relationships, into the human mind, into the messy, chaotic, beautiful nature of love itself. And maybe, just maybe, it helps us move through that chaos with a little more compassion.